I convinced myself it was just a brief escape, a way to chase a spark I thought had burned out. My husband, David, was kind and dependable, but our marriage had slipped into a dull rhythm. Quiet meals, weary mornings, conversations that felt empty. So when Ethan, an old love, resurfaced with promises of passion and thrill, I let myself be swept away. I arranged a secret trip with him, telling David I'd be spending time with friends. As soon as I boarded the plane, I silenced David's number to keep the illusion intact. Those days with Ethan were everything I believed I craved: lavish dinners, careless laughter, stolen kisses that made me feel young again. With him, I shed the weight of vows, of duty, of the man patiently waiting at home. Each night I whispered to myself that it was harmless, that I'd return unchanged, and David would never know. But in the quiet moments, guilt pressed in. I shut it out, just as I ignored David's calls, his concern, his love. For 7 days, I lived in a fantasy while David sat alone in silence, unaware of where I had gone. When the trip ended, dread mingled with relief. On the flight home, I turned his number back on, bracing for missed calls and desperate messages. But my phone remained silent. I told myself he was waiting to unleash his anger face to face. When I walked into our home, I forced a smile, pretending nothing had changed. But everything had. His shoes were no longer by the door. His coat wasn't draped across the chair. Even his scent had faded from the air. On the table was an envelope, my name written in his familiar handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Clara," it read. "I don't know where you went or why you shut me out, but your silence told me everything I needed to know. A husband shouldn't have to beg for a place in his wife's life." I waited. I worried. And I realized I deserve more than this. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I won't wait any longer.
Goodbye.
The words struck harder than any argument ever could. My chest tightened, my knees gave way, and I collapsed into a chair. I wanted to call him, to explain, but the truth was undeniable. My betrayal was exactly what he had feared. Weeks dragged on. No word from David. He ignored my calls, my messages, my letters. It was as though I had been erased from his world, left alone in the shell of the life we built. I had traded loyalty for a fleeting thrill and lost everything. Ethan reached out again, but I pushed him away. The fire I had chased now felt poisonous. He was never meant to be my future. David was. And I had thrown him away. Memories of David's quiet love tormented me. How he filled my gas tank without being asked. How he set the coffee pot every morning. How he steadied me whenever I faltered. Those small gestures now cut like blades. I had abandoned them for nothing. When friends noticed the emptiness in me and asked why my wedding ring was gone, I lied. I told them we had simply grown apart. The truth was far worse. I had destroyed what mattered most. David left before I ever had the chance to beg for forgiveness. Months later, the divorce papers arrived, plain, cold, final. No accusations, no bitterness, just his choice to be free. Signing them was the last nail in the coffin of our marriage. At night, I still stare at his contact on my phone, wondering if he ever thinks of me. But I know I will never hear his voice again, never see his smile, never feel his steady love. That trip didn't just break us, it erased him from my life. Love isn't found in reckless passion or fleeting excitement. It's built on loyalty, respect, and trust. I lost David because I forgot that. And while the world carries on, I remain trapped in the silence of the man I betrayed, the man who walked away without looking back.